welcome to Crime in Court. My name is Heather, and this is kind of a deep dive episode on the Delphi case, and it's just going to be a one-off, unless maybe, I don't know, something comes of it. But for right now, I'm just planning this to be like a one-off deep dive on the Delphi case. So we're going to talk about a little bit about the press release and versus the probable cause affidavit, which was the reason why Richard Allen came out with the press release. And we're going to look at some press conferences from the Indiana State Police, or, the law enforcement, the unified command, if you will. If you've been following the Franks memo, you know who that is. So basically, it consisted of all the higher ups of all the different law enforcement agencies that were involved, including people that we'll see in these press releases, mostly Doug Carter, the superintendent of Indiana State Police, Tony Liggett, we know, all the ones that we've been talking about in the Franks memo. So this episode, I wanted to bring a little bit of a twist of what we normally talk about. So we do read through the documents, as you know, but I want to give you some examples of both press release and the press conferences. There's been many, many, many conferences and times where someone from Unified Command may have spoken to the media, or I don't know what that was. Something just fell. Sorry. Individuals from law enforcement might speak to the media, or they do all these press conferences before there is someone in custody, and it paints a picture of who the person is before we even see who they are, before we even see their face. So it really, I'm going to try to show you what the media and talking about the case will do. But first, I want to read through this. So this is the order. And most recently, this was the 30th of April. Judge Gall issued this judgment regarding the contemptuous hearing. So back on May, I think it was 18th, they had a hearing for contemptuous conduct because Nick McClelland he filed a motion that they were contemptuous, and all for reasons that I don't think, and no other defense attorneys that I listened to on YouTube thought ever met the level of misconduct. So there was really no reason for any of that. It was just to waste time. And it worked, because breaking news today, we just found out that Richard Allen's attorneys have waived the speedy trial. So now their trial is going to be moved back to October, which was what it was originally pushed back to before the speedy trial date took place. So that is unfortunate, but it is probably for the best, if it is at least to get Richard Allen justice, and the girls, Abby and Libby. So I'm going to read this order that was issued. It was April 30th, but I didn't see it until like a day or two later. So yeah, dated 5/1/2024. All right, so this I want to point out this part. They were claiming that Nick McClelland, I should be more specific in my words. Nick McClelland, the prosecutor, was claiming that Bradley Rosie and Andrew Baldwin, Richard Allen's attorneys, were contemptuous, had all this contemptuous conduct, whatever. One of those reasons was because they issued a press release, which there was no gag order in place, but it had been talked about whether they wanted to put a gag order out, but there never was one that was put in place. And as a response to the leaking of the probable cause affidavit, which names Richard Allen specifically and says, Richard Allen did this, Richard Allen did that. It's not like an allegation. It says it like as if it's fact in the probable cause affidavit, which we're also going to look at, just portions of it. So, yeah, so this press release came out on December 1st. The gag order was put in place on December 2nd in response to the press release. So the prosecution leaks the redacted PCA, or unseals it, I should say. It wasn't leaked, but they unsealed it. And in response, Richard Allen's attorneys put out a press release. And in response to that, Judge Gall puts out a gag order. So now nobody can talk about this case. So that's pretty much what happened. That's like the order of events there. So in her ruling, back to this. All right, so defense counsel issued a press release on December 1st. I just had to give you the background. 2022. The press release contained statements that are potentially violative of the rules of professional conduct, according to Judge Gall. As defense attorney, or as defense counsel's counsel correctly argues in his post-hearing brief, the gag order was not yet issued. So how can you find contempt for that? You can't. All right, so as such, the court declines to find counsel in contempt of court as no order was in place. Well, yes, that's what we've all been saying from the beginning. To the extent, now here's the other thing that just, this irks me. Okay, so to the extent that the press release violated the rules of professional responsibility, the trial court, meaning her, Judge Gall, the trial court has no jurisdiction to enforce those rules. So if I think you violated this, it doesn't matter because I can't really do anything about it, which is stupid because why did you have the misconduct hearing in the first place if you can't do anything about it? But I digress. All right, so as required by the rules of professional responsibility, the trial court will therefore send a copy of this order and the press release to the Office of Judicial and Attorney Regulation Executive Director Adrian Meering for that office to enforce the rules to determine counsel's ethical misconduct. They weren't ethically misconducting. they weren't, doing anything that was anywhere near ethical misconduct. They put out a press release to zealously represent their client, which is their responsibility to their client to do. And it's his right. It's Richard Allen's right for counsel to fight zealously for him. So anyways, she's saying she's going to send this press release to whatever this regulatory office is. So the Office of Judicial and Attorney Regulation. So these attorneys who have never had anything bad, like no blemishes on their career, nothing, all of a sudden they get this high profile case and they try to do the best they can on it, and this is the stuff that they have to deal with now because Judge Gall doesn't like their theory of the case. It's ridiculous. So let's just read, before we get there, I want to read what are the rules of professional responsibility or professional whatever conduct. This is the Indiana Rules of Professional Conduct website. All right, so indiana.gov is my webpage, and I am on Rule 3.6, Trial Publicity. So let's just read through this a little bit. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys because it's even kind of small for me. Okay, that's good, but now I lost my spot. 3.4, 3.6. Okay, so 3.6, Trial Publicity. A lawyer who is participating or has participated in the investigation or litigation of a matter shall not make an extrajudicial statement or a statement outside of the courtroom that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding in the matter. So, they have to know or reasonably should know that if whatever they're putting out there is going to be disseminated, then they have to be really careful of what they're saying. So B, paragraph A, a lawyer may state. So these are things that a lawyer is allowed to talk about. 1, the claim, offense, or defense involved, and, except when prohibited by law, the identity of the persons involved. So, for instance, the children's names were redacted in the probable cause affidavit, so you can't come out and tell us all the names or the person involved if it's still not public knowledge, whatever it may be. All right, so number 2, information contained in a public record. So anything in a public record is for public consumption. Go for it. Number 3, that an investigation of a matter is in progress. So you can say, if you're law enforcement or a lawyer, you can say that there is an investigation in the works and we're looking into whatever. Number 4, the scheduling or result of any step of litigation, maybe saying we're in the pretrial motion here or phase, or maybe we're in the arraignment phase. There's different phases throughout the justice system, throughout the proceedings. So you can say where you're at with that. Those are kinds of things that you can talk about. The future hearings, future court dates, whatever it might be, or a result of a past ruling you can talk about in litigation. All right, number 5, a result for assistance in obtaining evidence and information necessary thereto. So if you're law enforcement and you want tips from the public, you can absolutely do that. You can even do that if you're a lawyer. FYI. You don't have to be law enforcement. You who's watching, if you were a lawyer, which I'm assuming you might not be, but the odds are 50-50. If you are a lawyer, then you can talk about, or you can ask for assistance for your client, anything, tips, assistance in the investigation, things like that. If you say if you have any information about this missing person or whatever. So that's acceptable talk for anyone in this case. Well, this is for lawyers, but law enforcement too. I mean, this all goes to law enforcement too, but this is the code for lawyers. All right, so number 6, a warning of danger concerning the behavior of a person involved when there is reason to believe that there exists the likelihood of substantial harm to an individual or to the public interest. So maybe you have a client who's on the run and he was last seen in Denver. I don't know. You could put that out there and ask for help, finding him, saying he's dangerous, whatever. You can definitely talk about those kinds of things. All right, so number 7, in a criminal case, in addition to subparagraphs 1 through 6, you can also talk about the identity, residence, occupation, and family status of the accused. So for the defense attorney, Richard Allen's attorneys, Baldwin and Rosie, they can talk about him. They can talk about his identity, his occupation, things like that. They can talk about if the accused has not been apprehended, information necessary to aid in the apprehension of that person. Like I said, this person was last seen in Denver running with whatever. He had a knife on him or something. Number 3, the fact, time, and place of arrest. So you could talk about that. And 4, the identity of investigating and arresting officers or agencies and the length of investigation. So if you are Alan's attorneys, you can talk about the fact that there were no arrests made. In 5 years they had this case, and over 5 years it took them to finally arrest someone. And Richard Allen was one of the people that he was investigating, or that went there, to offer tips or offer his assistance by providing a statement. So he was under their nose from the very beginning because he volunteered information to them. But for some reason, law enforcement sat on it for 5 years. So his attorneys could talk about that. And, whatever agencies might be involved, maybe the FBI or whatnot, you could talk about it. C, notwithstanding paragraph A, a lawyer may make a statement that a reasonable lawyer would believe is required to protect a client from the substantial, undue, prejudicial effect of recent publicity not initiated by the lawyer or the lawyer's client. That sentence right there protects Richard Allen and his lawyers, in my opinion, because they did put it out in response to the probable cause affidavit being unsealed. So for that reason, they were trying to get ahead of the story. They were trying to stop all the media questions and say, here's the facts that we know it, and here's what we're doing. All right, so continuing on. A statement made pursuant to this paragraph shall be limited to such information as is necessary to mitigate the recent adverse publicity. So don't give more information than you need to. D, a statement referred to in paragraph A will be rebuttably presumed to have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding when it refers to that proceeding and the statement is related to 1. The character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party, suspect in a criminal investigation or witness, or the identity of a witness, or the expected testimony of a party or witness. 2. In a criminal case or proceeding that could result in incarceration, the possibility of a plea of guilty to the offense or the existence or contents of any confession, admission, or statement given by a defendant or suspect, or that person's refusal or failure to make a statement. 3. The performance or results of any examination or test, or the refusal or failure of a person to submit to an examination or test, or the identity or nature of physical evidence expected to be presented. Any opinion as to the guilt or innocence of a defendant or suspect in a criminal case or proceeding that could result in incarceration. Information that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know is likely to be inadmissible as evidence in a trial and would, if disclosed, create a substantial risk of prejudicing an impartial trial. Or 6. The fact that a defendant has been charged with a crime unless there is included therein a statement explaining that the charge is merely an accusation and that the defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. And E. No lawyer associated in a firm or government agency with a lawyer subject to paragraph A shall make a statement prohibited by paragraph A, whatever the heck that last line meant. I don't know, but you get the point. So I don't think, personally, in my opinion, I don't think they did anything wrong. So let's, you guys tell me what you think. Let's read through the probable cause affidavit portions that specifically point to Allen. So most of this is overview, background information. here it says, hearsay statements of witnesses contained herein are considered reliable and credible due to the witness's personal knowledge and are corroborated by the totality of circumstances. So law enforcement basically just said in this probable cause affidavit, we stand by the hearsay statements in here because we've backed them all up. We've researched them all and we know it to be true. So that's basically what that says right there. All right, so let's skip down to the portion where it's about Richard Allen. So this is all like written in the form of, advised that the male subject was wearing a blue colored jacket. It's written in the third person. Well, now they're gonna, or not necessarily the third person, but like a vague third person. There is no third person's not right. Do you guys know what I mean? It's written as there is no actual name to the assailant. It's just like the assailant is. It's very general. So not until here, though, they get about halfway in and say, investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2017. The narrative stated Mr. Allen was on the trail between 1330 to 1530. He was parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trail ahead. However, did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. Gives information about his cell phone, potential follow-up information. Who were the 3 girls walking in the area of Freedom Bridge? Because there were 3 girls that Allen said he saw. Investigators believe Mr. Allen was referring to the former CPS building, as there was not a Farm Bureau building in the area, nor had there been. Investigators believe the females he saw included blank and blank due to the time they were leaving the trail, the time he reported getting to the trail, and the descriptions that he gave of the 3 females. Investigators discovered Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017 to 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:27 p.m. traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store, which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30. On the trails. Investigators note witnesses described the vehicle parked at the former Child Protective Services building as a PT Cruiser, a small SUV, or a smart car, which is not a Ford Focus. So, I don't know. Investigators believe those descriptions are similar in nature to a 2016 Ford Focus. So they're just, making up rules here and saying those are similar enough. I don't think so. But whatever. All right. So on October, do you see how they're starting to paint the picture like he was there, and all the other evidence that we received, it all leads to him. I don't know. I feel like they're working towards that. Let's see. All right, so on October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge, and then he went onto the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated that he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and then left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. So this is the 3 girls that he saw. He told investigators that he owns firearms and they are at his home. Richard M. Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, so now they bring Kathy Allen into it by putting her name on blast and putting that out there. They also spoke with her, investigators. She confirmed that Richard did have guns and knives at the residence. She also stated that Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. So 5 years later, he's got the same jacket and still wearing it. So obviously there's no reason to believe that it was in a crime scene or worn in a crime scene of unaliving some young girls. I don't know what these investigators are thinking sometimes. I really think these cases are just so over their head and they don't have the experience. I don't know. This maybe not in this case because it seems like there might be some odinous stuff going on, but I don't know. All right, so on October 13th, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant on Richard Allen's residence at 1967 North whatever road in Indiana. Among other items, officers located jackets, boots, knives, and firearms, including a Sig Sauer model P226 40 caliber pistol with serial number whatever. All right. So between October 14th and October 19th, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory performed a physical examination and classification of the firearm, function test, barrel, and overall length measurement test, firing, ammunition, component characterization, microscopic comparison, and nibbin, whatever that is. Reminds me of Chandler Bing's nubbin. It's the nubbin. The laboratory determined the unspent round located within 2 feet of victim 2's body had been cycled through Richard M. Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory remarked, so this is all in the probable cause affidavit. This gets unsealed. People read this and they're like, oh shit, he's guilty. He's guilty. He did it. For sure. It came from his gun. This is all very prejudicial. Even though it's a police report and they're putting it out there like, you know, it's the sworn affidavit of a police officer, but the affidavit is only as good as the officer's word. So, I mean, if you can't trust the officers who wrote it or the whole unified command over there, then you really can't trust the probable cause affidavit. Oh, it's gotta be straight. If it's like bent at all, it's just I'm sucking air. All right, sorry. All right, where was I? So the laboratory remarked an identification opinion is reached when the evidence exhibits an agreement of class characteristics and a sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement in related to the significant duplication of random striated impressed marks as evidence by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours. Whatever that all means and makes it sound all fancy. The interpretation of identification is subjective in nature and based on relevant scientific research and the reporting examiner's training and experience. So take it for what it is. Investigators then ran the firearm and found that the firearm was purchased by Richard Allen in 2001. Richard Allen voluntarily came to the Indiana State Police post on October 26, 2022. He spoke with investigators and stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer Model P226 firearm. When asked about the unspent bullet, he did not have an explanation of why the bullet was found between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2. I think because it was planted, but there's another video. So he again admitted that he was on the trail, but denied knowing victim 1 or 2 and denied any involvement. Carroll County Sheriff's Department detective, they took the detective's name out of the probable cause affidavit. That's so weird. Why would they take the detective's name out? Has been part of the investigation since it started. He has had an opportunity to review and examine the evidence gathered in this investigation. Detective Redacted, along with other investigators, believe the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male subject seen on the video from victim 2's phone who forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where their lives were taken. So right there, I mean, prejudicial. It says right there, we think it's him. And I mean, there's no like allegations or, do you know what I'm saying? Like they're saying it as fact. And that's the problem. The victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen. That's allegedly. You believe that. You think that. Why do you think that? You can't just put things in there without any basis. Moving on. Investigators believe Allen was the male seen by another person who had made a statement, so all these other people are redacted, and the male seen in victim 2's video. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 to 3:30 that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a video that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 towards the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators he was wearing matched the clothing of the male in victim 2's video and the clothing description provided by redacted and redacted. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 210, 214, and 228 at the former CPS building. Through his own admission, so like right there, they're just saying it is his car. Oh no, I'm sorry. They did say a vehicle matching. That's the way you should be writing it. A vehicle matching the description of. Not like his car was seen driving down the road. All right, so through his own admissions, Richard Allen walked the trails and eventually hiked to the Mononhigh Bridge and walked out onto the Mononhigh Bridge. A male subject matching Richard Allen's description was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified other individuals on the trail, or the CR 300 North, between 2:30 and 4:11 p.m. None of those individuals saw a male subject matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated that he only saw 3 girls on the trail who investigators believe to be names redacted. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods with victim 1 and 2. So they're giving their theory now of what they think happened by saying it as fact again. So investigators believe I guess that's not fact. Sorry. But they are putting it out there that, anyone who reads this, anyone who is paying attention can like pick apart little things, little details, especially the media. They like to pick out little details of these documents and say, "Oh, he's guilty." Investigators believe it was him because he wasn't seen at this time. Whatever. They'll pick apart the little things and take it, spin it. All right, so an unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2 was forensically determined to have been cycled through his gun. So that is prejudicial. That's not fact. You have I assume, some kind of an expert. What makes them an expert? How are they an expert? How are they able to talk about that? How do they know those things? Were they able to recreate whatever exercises that they do, whatever experiments that they do is the word I'm looking for. Experiments. So you need to be able to recreate that, and you need to be able to have the defense have their own experts refute it, rebut it, recreate it, whatever it might be. So you can't just put it out there as fact, like it was forensically determined to have been his. You can't just say that. That's not fact. And we don't, because it's coming from law enforcement, though, people believe it and think it's fact. So the Sig Sauer model P226 was found at Richard Allen's residence, and he admitted to owning it. Investigators were able to determine that he had owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on the property where the unspent round was found, that he did not know the property owner, and that he had no explanation as to why the round cycled through his firearm would be at the location. Furthermore, he stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow his gun. Investigators believe that after the victims' lives were taken, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down CR 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen by Redacted walking back to his vehicle with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Along with Redacted and along with investigators believe the statements made by the witnesses because the statements corroborate the timeline of the taking of the two girls' lives, as well as coincidence with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Further, the accounts relayed by blank and blank are similar in nature, and timestamps on photographs taken by blank correspond to the times that the juvenile female said they were on the trail and saw male individual. I find problems all over the place with that. What do you guys think about that? So this was put out there as Richard Allen did this. This is fact. He's been charged, and here's all the details. And they give them to you, some of them as fact, which is a problem. So now remember, based on our trial publicity here, I think, I just want to refresh your memory on this one. Notwithstanding paragraph A, a lawyer may make a statement that a reasonable lawyer would believe is required to protect a client from the substantial undue prejudicial effect of recent publicity not initiated by the lawyer or the lawyer's client. So Richard Allen didn't initiate that probable cause unsealing. His attorneys didn't. They had nothing to do with it. And then all this bad press comes back saying Richard Allen did it. He's guilty. His car was there. He had a bullet that was there. All these details come out. The news spins it, all different directions that they like to spin it. And he's now the face of evil, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. So let me swap screens here. We're gonna talk about Doug Carter, Superintendent Doug Carter. Let's listen to him. This was the press release on so it's 2/22/17. So just shortly, it wasn't the day that found the girls, but it was, a little while later, about a week or so later. So let's see what he's got to say.
Up to the director of the FBI, Director Comey, and Greg Mass is going to talk a little bit about that. I've had an opportunity to speak to my boss, Governor Eric Holcomb, a couple different times about this situation. And every time I do, I see this look that comes over his face, just like yours and his communities. And that's the unfortunate experience of experiencing evil.
Evil. Whoever did this is evil. They're bad. They're horrible. I mean, I'm not totally disagreeing, but the fact that that law enforcement is putting that out there, saying they're evil. This is evil. What I've seen is evil. The horror that I've seen. They have made it. They sensationalize it. They're spinning it. Even the law enforcement. I think Doug Carter's a little over the top, especially in his how he takes it so personally and stuff, because he's part of Unified Command, so he knew all the things that we've read in the Franks memos this whole time. So now looking back, we know that he's just a faker, liar, pants on fire.
We're not stopping. The poster in front of you. Someone knows who this individual is. Someone knows who this individual is. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy that lives over at that one place that just kind of not right.
He's talking about the bridge guy photo. So this was when they released the bridge guy photo. It was just a photo at the time, and they were like, this is somebody you know. And so this is Doug Carter putting these thoughts out there and putting out these impressions of who this person is.
Maybe it's his jeans. Maybe it's his jacket or his sweatshirt. Maybe it's his shirt tail. Maybe it's his posture. Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. You see, even with technology, we need human intelligence. In other words, we need you. I'm not suggesting that everything that we can do with science has been done, because we are just getting started. Abby and Libby deserve us. They deserve every single one of us, and not just the people standing up here on the stage that have given so much of their lives to not just this, but to this profession, but each and every one of you. Each and every person listening, watching, or seeing this in some form, we need you. Libby and Abby need you. Please do not rationalize tips away. Rationalize what you think that might not be important away.
All right. Does he go on?
By thinking he would never do that to another human being.
So now you're supposed to question all your family members, your friends, your associates, anyone you know, and put it on them. I don't know. I get what he's trying to say, but I don't know. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Or think, what I know doesn't matter. Let folks like the people that are standing behind me with such incredible passion and commitment and dedication to this profession make that determination. Tips are anonymous. Some might not want to talk about it because they don't want to get involved, because they know the individual. Again, he may be a family member, probably his family. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. There's not an agency on the planet better than helping us facilitate this than the FBI. And they're as entrenched in this as anybody. No one will know.
All right, I'm going to go to the next clip. I have a bunch of clips, but which is the next one? Let's listen to this one. So this is now a they've done press conferences just repeatedly. And it seems like the anniversary of finding the girls too, like they would do one every year. but they also pat themselves on the back every time, every time they are doing a press release or press conference. All right, why is this not loading?
I just wanted to say I am forever humbled. I don't know what you expected today, but I came to plead and implore you to keep this out front and center. I've said before, and I'm confident I'll say again, I hope that one day when we all meet Abby and Libby that they tell us you did well. That's my...
Like what? You want Abby and Libby to say good job on investigating my unaliving? I guess. They want credit from the girl, the victims? That's what he just said.
My hope. We cannot allow evil to prevail. Our world is completely out of balance.
Evil. World out of balance. This is wrong, horrifying. You should be shocked and outraged. You should hate the person who did this.
And we cannot allow that to prevail. I've said all along that we, as an agency, will be here as long as I'm breathing and as long as Governor Holcomb allows me to continue to stay in the position that I hold. I have the opportunity to brief him regularly. This isn't about how many hours we spend. It's not about how much it costs. It's about every single asset that the ISP has we'll give to this sheriff, this community, and to each and every one of you. Because I refuse to accept evil as a standard bearer in American society. Not here. People have oftentimes asked me, why is this so personal to you? It's personal to me because those two young girls were everybody's daughter in this beautiful place that represents the very best of humanity. And look what happened. That's why it's very personal to me. And I just hope that one day I can look into the eyes of a murderer and ask him why. And I believe that we will. I believe that we will. I know you have a bunch of questions for me. But please understand, if the question has to do with the investigative process, tactics associated with the investigation, what only the killer would know, that we know, I can't answer your question. And I just ask you to ask for you to please understand that when we open this up. Many people have said, did you think it'd be a year? I don't know. I don't know. How do you answer that question? I believe we're one piece of the puzzle away from figuring out who this individual is. Then the real work begins. Over 30,000 tips. Thank heavens the FBI was engaged with us, with the Orion system and the expertise that the FBI brought from all over the country to allow us to manage that kind of data. We've had inquiries and requests for discussion from agencies all over the country, not only because this is such a high-profile case, but because of the complexities associated with the time since we found their bodies a year ago tomorrow. As I close my comments to you, I want to say thank you. I've had the pleasure of having relationships with our...
He thanks the community, like, so much. And I mean, that's who the press conferences are for, right? So you got to schmooze up the community, the people, I guess.
Local media and our statewide media and even our national media for more than 30 years. I appreciate our partnership. I've had the opportunity to travel to the East Coast and the West Coast with Mike and Becky and the families to continue to perpetuate this message of
So he's on a first name basis with the grandparents of Libby.
Somebody out there knows who this individual is. None of that's possible without you. It's really, really important that you understand how important and what the importance of the role is that you play. Technology is wonderful, but technology can also challenge us. I would ask that folks not continue to compare photographs on the internet. Please, if you have an idea of an individual...
No, we're going to continue. We're going to continue until you guys start doing your jobs. We're going to continue to compare pictures.
Of a comment, of a phrase, of a name that you send it to us. It creates lots of complications when that analysis is done outside of the purview of the experts that I happen to be able to represent that are standing behind me today. So I hope you hear me loud and clear. If you're watching this and you're responsible, today may be your day. It might be tomorrow, but I can guarantee you your day's coming. We've got to perpetuate the relationship that we have, and we've got to not stop.
All right, so that one's that. Let's move on to this one. This one was, so this one we're watching right now was streamed February 13th, 2018. So it's 2018. This one's going to be a 2019 press conference. Just to get a little taste of some of these and how Doug Carter spoke in all of them. Oh, this was supposed to be on the right spot. It doesn't want to load.
I got to say to the Delphi
There we go.
community, I got.
Oh no, it just refreshed the page. Go back, see if that gives me the spot. No, it doesn't. Ah, okay. What the heck? Go back to that link. Sorry, guys. It's being real slow here. Let me close everything. Maybe that'll help. This video just doesn't want to load. I don't even think this is that great of an example. So let's move on to a different one. Sorry, I don't know why this is being really stupid.
Today I'm going to ask for your continued support, your continued understanding.
I don't know.
Your empathy and compassion as we move forward to find out who did this, and we will. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City Building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not two different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's phone. This video has never before been previously released.
That was the day that they released the audio. We don't want that one. Let's go on to the next one. All that for nothing.
Give me just a second here.
There you go. So this was after Richard Allen was arrested.
Seldom do I have prepared remarks, but today is different.
And just watch how emotional he is. It bothers me. I don't know why.
Because I do not want there to be any confusion or ambiguity with what I will say. Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation.
So it's not a day to celebrate, but you guys should celebrate because we got the bad guy, the evil guy that we've been telling you all about. We got him. And now here's his face. And here's his name. So this whole time they've been building up to what a bad guy this is, what a horrible thing he's done, and what evil he is whoever he was without a face, and now we have a face, and society knows it as Richard Allen. And if you're not paying attention and doing your own detective work, then you probably just believe that Richard Allen's the guy and everything's rosy.
First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday, was the day, and an arrest has been made. Thanks to literal...
So remember, he said in the other press conference, today may be your day. So, you know, one day, today's going to be your day, and now it's his day. This is the narrative that Doug Carter's been spinning to the press since day one.
Hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center. Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally, and you know I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable.
I just want to mention, this is the press conference to announce that they just arrested Richard Allen. So why are they asking the public for more help to find out a potential other suspect? Let's listen to that again.
Thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable.
No, they won't, because you originally had the people that should have been held accountable and you questioned them. However, those interviews have now been deleted because they recorded over specific interviews that had, oh, what do you know it, all the people like Elvis Fields, Brad Holder, all those people. And they were originally suspects, and we don't have any information on them anymore, about those interviews anyways. And it's all missing. Why? I think it's a good possibility based on I'm speculating based on what I've read so far in this case, that those individuals had something to do with it, and Unified Command is obviously corrupt because they're getting the information filtered to them, but they're not filtering it out anywhere when it comes to this Odinist stuff, and they're hiding specific Purdue professors who may or may not know some things about Odinist runes. So it's just all been a real wild ride. So I think we'll leave it here. There's been so many other interviews where he's spoken, and you know what? I can't remember which one it is. I have a bunch of links here. I don't know. Anyways, we can leave it here. I just wanted to share with you guys a little take on how, these press conferences might be perceived by people. Obviously, it's us versus them. They're the bad guys, and we're the good guys. We're with the police, and we want, that's kind of how these press conferences go. And by making everybody a part of it in the whole community, and they're all patting their own selves on the back, and that's it's just been a little crazy in Delphi. And like I said, breaking news today, we found out that Richard Allen's, unfortunately, his trial has been pushed back. It was going to be May 13th, starting May 13th, and it is now going to be pushed back till October. But he was moved to Allen County. I don't know if it was just for specifically for the hearing that he had today on May 7th, but I do know that he was taken in to Allen County, which is one of the county jails that his attorneys would prefer him to be at, so that they can go and meet with their client and have personal, private conversations with their clients. But I don't know if that's allowed yet or not for Richard Allen, because apparently he hasn't been able to be given that right. Don't understand it. This poor man, I feel so bad for him. There was a recent, actually, Richard Allen new mugshot. He has a new mugshot. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yep, there it is. So, he hasn't been getting, I do know his attorneys were saying that he hasn't been getting haircuts and things like that, so that might be why. Where'd it go? They don't have it with the article, but it's with the article. I don't get it. Okay, it's not here. Let's see if I can click on this one. No. All right, yeah. So the trial of Delphi suspect Richard Allen has been delayed until mid-October. During a Tuesday hearing inside an Allen County courtroom, Special Judge Fran Gull granted the wishes of the defense to vacate the May 13th trial date. Attorneys Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rosie had previously requested a speedy trial, which led Gull to move the proceedings up to May. So the new trial dates are October 14th through November 15th in Carroll County. Gull said Tuesday there will be 3 days of pre-trial evidence hearings on May 21st through May 23rd in Carroll County. Interesting. I wonder if that has to do with any of the Franks evidence, the Franks hearing information. Allen's defense attorneys claimed they have not had enough time to prepare for their case, and the court had not granted the defense enough time to present their case during the trial itself. That was another issue because she only gave them about 2 weeks. And did I freeze? I think my thing froze. Hold on. I think my computer's about had enough today. And I wasn't even here doing much. Alright, so. Alright. The defense also filed. Oh, what was I saying? That she only gave the defense, I think, a couple weeks. Or not even like for their case, so they didn't even have enough time to present their case. Allen faces 4 counts of homicide in the February 17th, no thank you, unalivings of Abby Williams and Libby German near the Monon High Bridge, Indiana State Police announced his arrest in October of 2022, leading to much legal maneuvering between the prosecution and defense. Another call for Gull to recuse herself. The defense also filed another motion to have Gull disqualify herself from the case. During the contentious hearing on Tuesday, Gull told Rosie that she couldn't understand why Alan's team couldn't defend their client during the time allotted for the trial. Oh my God, she's the worst. Rosie argued that you don't know anything about this case, citing a lack of pre-trial hearings to debate potential evidence. The defense previously asked the Indiana Supreme Court to remove Gull, which the state's highest court declined to do, and they should have. They were so wrong not to. If they don't know that by now, then I don't know. And they filed an earlier motion asking her to recuse herself from the proceedings. Gull refused to do so. Gull earlier attempted to have Baldwin and Rosie removed from the case, citing an evidence leak and expressing concerns about the ability to defend Alan, but the Indiana Supreme Court reinstated the attorneys on January 18th. Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClelland then asked the court to hold Baldwin and Rosie in contempt, citing a pair of evidence leaks and a press release that they sent to media before a gag order ever even went into place. Stupid. All right, so then last week, Gull ruled that the attorneys were sloppy and incompetent in their handling of evidence, but said their actions fell short of being willful and intentional. She did not hold them in contempt. In motions filed in court, the defense accused prosecutors of failing to turn over discovery evidence in a timely manner. We've gone through that with sanctions for McClelland. The attorneys also accused investigators of lying or omitting information in order to implicate their client. Tuesday's planned hearing in Allen County came at the request of Allen's defense attorneys, who had worried that the prosecution, with more than 100 witnesses to call and nearly 100 exhibits to show, would dominate the proceedings. The defense indicated, so they really forced them to get rid of their speedy trial, is what I'm reading here. I'm frozen again, I think. Oh no, okay. So the defense indicated its witness list included 71 names. Baldwin and Rosie wrote in their motion for a pretrial hearing that logistical challenges for the trial, including an out-of-town jury, Allen's daily transportation to and from court, and their commutes to Carroll County, could also throw off Gull's timeline. Allen was moved from Wabash Valley Correctional to the Allen County Jail ahead of Tuesday's hearing. The state filed a motion in limine last week asking the court to bar the defense from presenting its alternative theory, the Odinist stuff, and the members of a local pagan group ending the girls in a ritualistic fashion during the proceedings. The state argued raising the issues could create confusion or prejudice the jury. Oh, come on. It's just because you don't want them to hear it. The prosecution sought to bar the defense from mentioning the cult or ritualistic killing and other terms from the trial, as well as a list of names of several people previously linked to the case in one way or another. So there you have it, and that is his new mugshot. He's letting his beard grow out, apparently. I think I'm frozen again. I don't know. I'm going to end this because my camera's aggravating me. So I hope you guys got a little bit out of this, learning what the professional rules of conduct are, and I don't think they really did anything wrong. Allen's attorneys. I think law enforcement's a little out of line, but I don't think that Allen's attorneys did anything that a normal lawyer wouldn't do to protect their client by coming out with the press release. And I will tag the press release. I've done it in another video. I'll tag that video in the description below so you can review the press release again if you so wish to do that. Anyways, take care, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys. you've been impacted by a true crime and would like your story told in your own words, or if you or someone you know has been wrongfully convicted or accused of a crime, please write to crimeincourtchannel@gmail.com and tell us your real, true crime encounters. Thanks for watching.